Right, welcome to HRT or Not month. That's a bit of a mouthful. I'm chatting with Melissa Ayres. Melissa, do you want to tell us a bit about what you do? And then we'll move on to the potentially slightly thorny topic of HRT or not.
Absolutely. Hi, Emily. So yeah, I'm Melissa Ayres. I'm a perimenopause and menopause coach. I'm a homeopath and I'm also a theta healer, intuitive healer as well. So I combine all of my skills of intuitive healing and energy healing and reading the body um, into supporting women around perimenopause and menopause. And I complement that with homeopathy, the herbs I work with, all of my knowledge and wisdom, which is over a decade of working in natural healthcare, into supporting women emotionally and physically through this transition.
Awesome. So I'm going to hazard a guess that you're more towards the or not side of the HRT or not argument.
You would be right, Emily. Yes.
Okay. So I'm going to go right in. Do you see that there's a place for HRT, or do you think there isn't at all? I don't mind either way. I'm going to put you on the spot.
Yeah, that's fine. Let's do this. So I would say it is with choice. It is with choice. But here are my thoughts. Perimenopause isn't it's not an illness. It's not a set of physical symptoms that require medical treatment. It's a natural process that every woman goes through. It's as natural as puberty. It's part of womanhood. And it's preparing us for the amazing stage of life that is menopause, when we're in our wise woman phase. I know we've talked a little bit about the phases of women before. I think it has a place when symptoms are really extreme, just to get someone in a state of balance. But my feeling is that it isn't, and it shouldn't be a long-term fix. Because what we're doing, it's not even hormone replacement, it's hormone adding. We're adding in hormones to a body that actually, if I explain, one of the fundamental principles of homeopathy is that the symptoms are the body's way to heal itself. So I'll give a simple example. A fever, a raised temperature, is the body burning off virus and bacteria. If we suppress that with an analgesic, the body goes, okay, I can't do my original immune system, flex my muscle and burn this off. I've got to go to a secondary symptom like a runny nose or a cough to clear it. So almost what HRT is doing is it's stopping the body from performing a natural function. And while, as I said, I believe short term it can be absolutely, we need these sticking plasters sometimes just to get to back to a better place. But in terms of a long-term solution, I find that kind of worrying if we're continually putting in a synthetic hormone through the skin. Body doesn't receive hormones through the skin. I find that quite interesting, the patches and the creams. I don't know what else is in them. The patches certainly have plastics in them. I mean, everything we put on our skin is absorbed. So it's not just a pure form of estrogen, it's synthetic in some way. And I know it used to be originally that HRT was from mare's urine, which caused an awful lot of problems. It's now, I know, from wild yam. But how do we get the wild yam to that state that we can put it in that? This is kind of where I'm coming from. So my feeling is a sticking plaster, but not a long-term solution. And just this understanding that your body isn't going wrong. You're not hormone deficient. You're not on the decline. This isn't downhill from here. This is a natural process that you can manage. Your body knows how to do this. Your body knows how to manage this naturally. And there are so many other ways to bring hormones back into balance. Diet, exercise, nutrition. Homeopathy is wonderful for balancing hormones. There are wonderful herbs out there. I'm not a herbalist. I use a range of herbs homeopathically prepared that work beautifully. Supplements, breath work. There are so many other ways to manage this. And I feel that, a lot of the message out there is that HRT is the only solution. That's really not the truth.
I think you absolutely hit the nail on the head just now in saying that the body knows what it needs to do. Unfortunately, so many of us have got out of touch with what our body is even attempting to say. And I think that's where we have this big dichotomy at the moment, isn't it? Is that a lot of us have been absolved of any need to listen to our body because of all the external messages out there. And so we expect to just be able to take something and be better, as opposed to listening to those cues from our body, which they're there.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, I know we've talked a little bit about this before when we've had discussions, Emily, but you know, the society we live in is 24/7, 365 days a year. We're wired from childhood to be in a stage of productivity all the time. And as women, we're not naturally designed to do that. We have a natural ebb and flow that's much more feminine, receptive. You know, we're human beings, not human doings. And we've talked before about the different phases of our cycle, slowing down in the progesterone luteal phase of our cycle, being more active in the estrogen phase. Connected with that, you know, really helps with hormone balance. And I think by the time we reach perimenopause and menopause, if we've ignored that for what could be 30, 35, 40 years of cycles, the body is going to kick off and go, hang on a minute. And I really think for women, and in my experience, who I've worked with, who have the worst symptoms, it's those that have just completely disregarded that natural cycle. They've maybe been on the pill for years. They've had the marine coil for years. They've just overridden all of that. You know, a lot of corporate women as well, you know, in these male-dominated environments, just to keep up with everyone, they've completely shut off that side. I think we get to menopause and the body will kick off. And
which,
say,
which
you know,
makes sense, doesn't it? Because, you know, we, as you say, we're different. Unfortunately, you know, I guess it is difficult that we're trying to live by a sort of a, you know, if you look back to like caveman, okay, I'm going back a bit, but women and men had very differing roles in life. The women were the nurturers, the men were the hunters. I'm massively simplifying. And then, you know, we're very much in a generation where we're expected to have it all, but to have it all, we have to become male, don't we? Which means that, I mean, not actually physically become male, but you know what I mean? We have to address the world in a much more masculine energy, which means we then have to suppress that feminine energy, which means we lose contact with what our body's telling us.
Yeah. And conventional medicine, whether it's HRT or any kind of medication, is very much about suppressing symptoms. It's not about listening to the body and what it's trying to do. It's, you know, let's mask this.
Yeah.
If you imagine, I like the analogy, if you've got a car dashboard and there's a warning light going off, you don't just smash the warning light, you lift up the bonnet and you look at what's going on underneath. But conventional medication is very much, let's just suppress the symptoms so we can move on and carry on doing the behavior that caused the symptoms in the first place. It's not a healthy way to live your life with any symptom. And really deeply, you know, women, we're naturally more designed to be more in touch with nature, our bodies, our natural cycles. We have amazing intuitive abilities. You know, you've probably heard of mother's intuition, women's intuition. We don't say that about men, not that they don't have intuition, but we do have that much more innately and much more deeper capacity to do that. And any symptom is the body trying to tell you something. And usually the issue is not the issue. Do you know what I mean by that?
Absolutely.
So,
I know what you mean by
that. Yeah. What I do in the work I do is we get right under the skin of actually, what is this really about? Nothing starts in the physical, I don't believe. I think things start in the emotional, and if we're not attending to that, it will come through to the physical to show us. And it's so interesting. I did in lockdown, actually, I did my intuitive anatomy. And
Okay.
it is so fascinating when you get into the messages the body's giving us. So left-sided symptoms are about the future, right side is generally about the past. Anything in the skeletal system is to do with security, lower back issues, finances. It's so fascinating, you know, listening into the body. I've got quite an interesting theory about hot flushes. How I talked about raising the body's temperature, that's burning stuff off. Well, sweating's a really important detox function. By the time we get to perimenopause. That was something I really struggled with, actually, that hit me, having been this chilly, need to be wrapped up all the time person to, wow, I have my own internal furnace. What on earth is going on here? And the waking up at night. Once I just felt I was more curious about it rather than panicking. I was like, okay, let's be curious about this. But I really think, even if we eat clean and we exercise and we take good care of ourselves, we live in such a toxic environment. The air we breathe, the water we drink, all of these things, our livers do an amazing job of taking care of that. But actually, sometimes things spill over. It's like that bath analogy. You fill the bath up, you've got to let the plug out.
Yeah.
Making peace with your body and understanding that it's working with you and for you and not against you is a great step when it comes to managing these symptoms. But just, being curious about them and going, okay, why is this happening? And actually, your body's always working for you. It's these sweats, the heat I'm experiencing, it's the body burning off something. And actually, I find if you support the liver, you get great results with hot flushes.
Yeah.
So there's the synthetic hormones, or actually let's have a look at what's really going on here, and just giving the body, our skin's our biggest detox organ, but our liver has a huge role in detox as well. Just giving that a little bit more support, because it has a role in hormone regulation as well. It deals with excess estrogen. So just supporting other areas of the body is so important too. You can't have, this is the other thing with HRT, it's, the endocrine system, I see it as like an orchestra. We have the 7 glands of the endocrine system. If one of that is out of tune, the others will naturally also be in disharmony to kind of make up. So just putting in some estrogen, progesterone, testosterone is not looking at the whole picture, balancing out where other, the thyroid's very affected in women in perimenopause and menopause. The adrenals are. We need to look at kind of balancing out the whole system, not just it's just your hormones, it's just the reproductive hormones, and that's all we need to fix and you'll be okay. It's about so much more than that.
And I love what you're saying about curiosity. Anybody who's listened to me talk at all ever will know that I bleat on about tracking a lot. And I think there can be a misconception when I say tracking that it's very much just recording data, but it's not. It's literally the starting point for curiosity. And just making a note of it, because actually through that curiosity and that going, okay, what is my body telling me right now? Oh, that's interesting. Make a note, because you may well start to see patterns, and then those in themselves, literally just the act of having spotted those patterns can make a weight lift, because you're like, okay, this just happens in my progesterone phase. These things happen. Okay, cool. Right. Now that I've identified that, and actually the world doesn't end every month, I just have a day when I think it's going to, it doesn't lessen necessarily the fact that you think the world's going to end on that day, but you can see that it's part of the bigger picture, simply because your curiosity has allowed you to listen into what your body's telling you, rather than just expecting your body to function the same every day.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the thing, like you say, with the progesterone phase, naturally, it's like the autumn winter of our cycle. We're naturally wanting to slow down. And if we don't do that, we go against the body and we carry on and we push ourselves, that's when the problems are going to be there. And it's about that not thinking there's something wrong with you. We classically, it's, I don't know, maybe it was a man who came up with this PMT, this PMS, or there's something wrong with you, or that's abnormal, or that's not acceptable behavior. Actually, that's quite normal in the progesterone phase to feel like that. And I'm so with you on the tracking, Emily, because if you understand where you are in your cycle, you can understand your mood so much better. And just honoring that and going, okay, this is fine. This is how I'm meant to feel this time of month. Let's honor that and respect that, not try and fight against it, or think that there's something wrong with you being a bad person or a bad mother that day, or just because you feel that way. It's okay to feel that way. It shouldn't be labeled as wrong.
And chances are those things that annoy you that day, they probably wanted a voice all month.
They probably did. Yeah.
Realistically.
That's the thing, because our periods as women it's a huge emotional release. We're quite honored to have this. It's not just a release of blood, it's a release of built up emotions that build up in the sacral chakra, the pelvic bowl. that we get to release every month. That's why so many women feel so much better for starting their periods, interestingly. I see that a lot with women I work with, is
Yes.
oh, I feel so much better for the
Oh,
flow.
thank God it's come. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it's that letting it out. But I think the more attention we pay to our cycle as well, it's like the body likes us to be connected with it. You probably won't suffer the symptoms as badly because the body is being honoured, and it's being understood and listened to. So therefore, it doesn't need to create all of these symptoms and ups and downs in order to get our attention anymore.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Thank you so much.
You're so welcome, Emily. Thanks for having me.